Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we'll be taking a look at Leader Class Evolution Rodimus Prime from the Transformers Power of the Primes line. This is the other Leader Class figure available in the first wave, the first of course being Optimus Prime himself, which we took a look at yesterday. Yeah, I think he looks pretty cool. Obviously you got some nice Rodimus artwork over here on the side. Here he is in the window of the packaging. Comes with his laser rifle and then his own version of the Matrix. Taking a look on this side of the box, it's the kind of standard Prime symbol list that we've kind of come to see. Some cool hot rod artwork here on this side. Nothing going on the bottom. Just a window on the top. And taking a look at the back, let me lift this up a sec here. It says, when the bold Autobot Hot Rod becomes the bearer of the Matrix of Leadership, he evolves to become the courageous leader Rodimus Prime. So as you can see, you have normal Hot Rod mode and then Rodimus Prime mode. I think they did a pretty good job of making them look different. I mean, Hot Rod obviously looks pretty similar in both modes, but they did a pretty good job of making him look different there. Here's the Hot Rod vehicle mode, here is the Rodimus Prime vehicle mode, and then here are the Wave 1 Prime Masters, as they are on every box. All packaging, really. So let's go ahead, let's get Rodimus Prime out of the packaging, and we'll take a closer look. Alright, so here's Rodimus out of the packaging. Real quick, here is the little card that he comes with. I like this one because it's blue. It's got Vector Prime's power on the side. Pretty cool artwork there. Rodimus Vector rides the time stream to where he's needed most. So there you go. He has Vector Prime's power. So, cool little card. Throwing that off to the side. Taking a look back at Rodimus, obviously he does have the large instruction booklet as well. Oops, I'm dropping things. He has his blaster rifle, which I think they did a pretty good job. Again, very much capturing the look of his G1 weapon. And just like Optimus's, it can split into two smaller weapons. He could wield both of these. Hot Rod could wield one, whatever you like. Or you could have... I like the big one. I think it looks best together like that. He also has this version of the Matrix, which you can see is kind of an inverted color scheme. Here is the one that came with Optimus. So, instead of silver and orange, you have yellow and silver. I think it's cool. I definitely think I prefer this one just because this is kind of a more classic Matrix color scheme. But this one's pretty cool too. And again, you can just go ahead and pop this piece out. It's a non-transforming chunk, but it looks cool. I like the kind of crystal look to the plastic that they kind of molded in there. Very, very neat. And then you just pop this in. And of course you can put any Titan Master or Prime Master into this Matrix oval. So there you go. Taking a look at Rodimus himself. Looks pretty strong, pretty imposing. I like him. He does have a bit of back kibble, but I don't mind it that much because you don't really see it in like when you just look straight on. You see it up from the side, obviously, but it's neat. I like it. I like the head sculpt. I think he suffers from like almost no eyes syndrome. His eyes are very like sunken into his brow. You almost can't see them. But again, it's another very imposing head sculpt, side to side. I don't think he doesn't have a ball joint. It's just side to side. That's it. No up and down there. But it's kind of cool. I like it. Now you can see with the hips, or I should say the shoulders, they're going to turn out to be Hot Rod's hips. So his shoulders are a little weird. I'll give it that. Even if just this could have come up a little bit more just to hide him a little bit, I feel like that would have done the job. But the fact that you can kind of see the whole legs there, I don't hate it, but it is a little weird. Also, because of knee joints are now his shoulder, you kind of have like a back and forth like this, as well as a swivel, but it's not a ball joint. It's like almost like a figure arts wrist joint. It's up like this, but can also swivel around. He also has this bicep swivel, a little over 90 degrees in the elbow, and the fists can rotate, but mine are very tight, so they can, but it's just hard to do. Now you can kind of see there's kind of a discoloration from this top part to this piece that starts here right above the elbow. That's because this piece comes off, and again, these are going to be Hot Rod's feet. So it just has to do with the transformation. It's a little bit of a bummer that they couldn't match the color plastics. It would have been nice to have this, you know, uniform color. But Rodimus Prime has kind of always been more of a maroon, and Hot Rod's been more of a red. It's kind of how they distinguish him and make him seem like more mature when he becomes the leader. So I can understand why they wanted maroon to kind of be the centralized color here. But I don't know. I feel like if they could have just matched these a little bit better. But I love the look of the chest. I love the logo with the Autobot symbol, and that's all painted on there. There's no stickers or anything. That all looks really nice. You can lift up this little skirt flap if it is impeding your hips at all. You can go really nice tight ratchet there. You can hear that. Out to the side, you have a thigh swivel. 90 degrees in the knee. You can also kick forward a little bit. His knee goes a little bit both ways. And then a little bit of ankle movement, but that's really mostly for the transformation. When you get it out of the box, make sure you flip out the heels, because he comes like this and he'll fall right over. He's got these really nice big red heels that give him a lot of stability. Just make sure you fold those out, because they really do make a difference. But yeah, I like him. I think he looks cool. Pop in his weapon. He's ready to go. Like I said, my only complaint is that the shoulders are a little weird, and the different tones of red from the top of the shoulder to the forearm. But I can look past it. I mean, I'm looking to have fun with this figure. I know I'm a little biased because Hot Rod's kind of been a favorite character of mine, Hot Rod / Rodimus, since I was a kid. I got into Transformers around season 3 just because of how old I am, so this was kind of the first Prime that I had. Obviously, I think Optimus is ultimately my favorite out of the two because, come on, Optimus. But this guy will always have a special place to me because he was my first, if that makes sense. I know that sounds a little ridiculous. I also kind of wish the spoiler on the back was a little bigger. But again, it's going to be Hot Rod's spoiler, so they kind of have to share it. So it kind of has to be a size that they both can live with. Now, as far as putting the Matrix in his chest, this lifts up, and it's a little hard to unpeg everything. But this lifts up. And you can kind of see, here are Hot Rod's hands and what will be Hot Rod's chest. You take the Matrix, and you can see this large Matrix cavity. With Optimus, you had to put it up. For Hot Rod, you put it down. And you just pop it straight in there, and it fits very snugly. And then you just bring this back down. And I'm trying to decide what actually connects in. I think it's just these kind of pieces here kind of get around the top part right here. But you just bring this back in, move the arms out of the way a little bit, and that snaps back in. And there you go. You have successfully given Rodimus the Matrix of leadership. But yeah, I like him. He definitely looks like he's ready for a fight. He looks tough, he looks big, he looks menacing. He's got quite the scowl on his face. So yeah, like I said, he's not without his problems. I do think the shoulder mechanism is a little weird, but it's just because of the transformation. And I don't know, the transformation kind of impresses me so that I can look past the weird shoulder joint. I don't know. You'll see what I mean when we get there, but overall, I think he does look pretty cool. Alright, so first thing we're going to see is the Hot Rod core transformation. So, first thing you need to do, come up here and open this up again like you're going to put in the Matrix. And it's kind of neat. You kind of pull these pieces out first. At least I find it's easier if you detach, like, because these kind of click into the back, so kind of unpeg that. And then you can unpeg this whole front section, lift this up, and then the connector is right here. It looks like his butt is sitting on this connector. So you're going to unconnect this, but you have to be careful when you do, because these pieces are kind of in this channel back here, and you lift this out. And you have to be careful because I already pulled it off the first time I did it. But you can see how there's a channel, like when you're putting this back in, these slide into this channel right there. And I'm probably not showing that off very great. See if I can get this to focus. So see what I mean? Like the tabs slide in right there. But anyway, we'll see that later. Well, okay, so putting this core section off to the side for a moment. This is what you're left with, this kind of Rodimus midsection. So you're going to detach the arms where the reds change color. Just pop those right off. And I'm kind of afraid one day that those clips are going to break, but I'm holding out hope that they do not. So take the two arms, put those off to the side. So now you're left with this strange hot rod, no arms section. So what you're going to do is fold this up, and the hot rod head will kind of rest in there. And then you can see, it's really kind of weird how it connects. I like to move this out of the way. You're just going to kind of clip that in. And it's not working the best, but basically these two tabs right here and here, and let me see if I can get a little bit closer. I apologize, my camera angles are way off here. So this tab and this tab are going to fit into this slot and this slot. So just kind of get that connected on there. And this piece swivels all around in the meantime. So now that that's connected, you can turn them over and just bring down what you can see are obviously going to be the feet. Straighten them out. Then you can lift these and fold out the feet. So you can kind of see Hot Rod is taking shape at this point. You're going to come and spin this around, and then you can see there's a little tab right there, and that's going to go into this little tab spot right there. And at this point, there's a double joint right here. You have to make sure that double joint is flat so it'll peg in correctly. Now, unfortunately, he does kind of have this windscreen hanging off his butt, but I'll show you a little trick for that in a minute. Straighten out the arms, just unpeg these, and they just kind of drop down like this. At this point, the whole chest will fall forward. This piece will lift up, spin around, and then push it back down, and then fold it up. Make sure your arms are out of the way. And there you go. There is your Hot Rod. I ultimately like the look of him, but I feel like his arms are a little too skinny. It's just something about his arms. Like, or maybe they need to come farther away from the body. I like the torso. I like the legs. And I like the spoiler on the back. It's just a little something weird with the arms. And I don't know what it is. Maybe they're too long and too thin. I don't know. Now, again, like I said, you have this windshield off the back. What I've seen some people online do, because you can slide this whole piece right off. It just slides into that channel. You can see it. This is what popped off when I was pulling it out of this section. So what some people have done is slid that off and then just gone ahead and pegged it back in like normal. And then you just have it on the back like that. And I mean, that takes care of the problem a little bit. But I feel like you already have to have this. So when you do that, all it really saves you is that extra little bit. Just that, like the width of my, not even the width of my fingernail. So I feel like, you know, it helps a little bit, but it doesn't really solve a huge problem. So I kind of just leave it and I just peg it on so I don't have to keep popping it off. But I definitely, like I said, I love the chest area. And I think the head sculpt looks pretty good too. His eyes are definitely a little bit more exposed than the Rodimus Prime, but he's got kind of the same scowl. I feel like Hot Rod should have had like a happier face, because Hot Rod's a little bit more free-loving. You know, wheeling and dealing, not wheeling and dealing. What's the term? You know, just happy, go-getty, daredevil. You know, he's always goofing off. Like he's less responsibilities. I felt like he should have been a little happier. Head can move from side to side. Again, not on a ball joint. You have, I think it's a ball joint in the shoulder there, and then you have a ball joint in the elbow, and then not really anything in the waist, but the normal hips. Well, you know what the hips are because that's the shoulder articulation. Or I guess technically the knee is the shoulder articulation, so you have that, and then you also have a spin. And then you have ankle movement. So ultimately, I do like the hot rod mode. I just feel like something's a little off with the arms. For fun, here is Titan's Return Hot Rod. I do like Titan's Return Hot Rod, but I always felt like his arms were too tall. I mean, you can't even see the spoiler because his arms were too tall. I love the spoiler on this guy, and I think the head sculpt's a little better on this guy. And I like the feet. It's just, like I said, the arms are just, I think, a little too long and thin. It's not a huge problem. It just, I feel like they should be a little bit thicker, maybe, or just a little bigger. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. But I think out of the two, I think this guy definitely resembles more like a classic G1 Hot Rod. This is like a cool interpretation of Hot Rod, but you can't, I mean, when you just look at him full on, you can't see the spoiler at all. You might as well not have it. So, I don't know. And then again, here's Slug, just to show you he's a little bit taller than a deluxe. But yeah, ultimately, I like the robot mode. This is not ideal, I understand, but I think you definitely get a very cool G1 aesthetic to Hot Rod, and that's what does it for me personally. So let's go ahead and check out Hot Rod's vehicle mode. Alright, so transformation into vehicle mode is fairly simple. You're going to start off with pulling the head down, lifting this section up, turning it around, pushing it back up, make sure the arms are out of the way. I don't peg the arms in yet, and I'll show you why. It's a little bit easier if you don't. You can unpeg this and then just kind of spin this whole section around 180 degrees. Come to the feet. Fold this out. Hide the feet again. Very simple. So the way these peg in is a little weird. It's just something to be careful about. So you can see there's a tab here and a tab here. And then there's this tab slot there and there. So you kind of have to like lift this in and then like that. And it's a little weird to do, but it gets easier the more times you do it. You kind of push that one in and then it clips in like that. And it really holds it solid when you're done. Now with the arms, you can see here there's a little tab. And that's supposed to go in this slot here. So, I don't know, sometimes for me it's really easy and sometimes it's a little difficult. You just kind of lift that up and it clips in there. And then obviously you want to push that into here, but there's also a little orange tab right there. And that's going to tab into that little spot there. So then I just kind of do it all together. And I just feel like that works a little better. This one slots in really easily. I don't know why. The other one's so tight. And then you take this piece. And then it just folds over here. And then again, there's a tab and a tab slot. And then lift this off. And there you go. There is your incredibly G1 looking hot rod. I think this looks fantastic. This is my favorite of Hot Rod's modes. I think the car looks really nice, rolls well. It does have this little bit of a gap, which is kind of a bummer right there. Not really anything I can do about that. But I like it. I definitely like especially looking at it from here, I think that's pretty great. Just for fun, here is Titan's Return Hot Rod in vehicle mode. And you can see the difference. This was a fun imagining of Hot Rod, but this is a really like classic look to Hot Rod, which I really like. I like the kind of boxiness originally of his vehicle mode. This is kind of streamlined with some rounded edges. I do kind of wish this was painted silver, just so that it looked more like the pipes on the side. I feel like that would have been something really easy to do. Or just cast it out of the same gray plastic that this is cast out of, but I don't know. I think that would have been fun. In any case, I do like this vehicle mode. I think it looks good. The spoiler on the back looks good. Pretty nice. So let's go ahead. We'll get the rest of the body transformed into the trailer so we can hook it up to this. Alright, so transformation for this is actually pretty quick and simple, in my opinion. You can go ahead and fold this out like that. Go ahead and fold in the heels. You can bring the legs together. And they just kind of tab into each other like that. This whole piece here... Oh, already my foil is... The foil stickers are peeling. That's not a good sign. This untabs here in the back and goes straight out. And then you're going to spin this around. This actually will be the kind of hitch for the trailer. That wasn't pegged in all the way. At this point, you will bend it forward like this. So he's kind of bent forward like that. At this point, this whole top piece will rotate around 180 degrees. And then as you do that, you need to fold these in a little bit. So it can go down all the way over the hips, and then it'll just peg in like that. So that collapses pretty well. Like I said, unfortunately the sticker right near the joint is starting to peel a little bit, and that's a bit of a bummer. Again, I don't think there's anything I can do. It just has to do with the hinge having a sticker on it. At this point, you can see there are two large tabs right here and right there. They are going to peg in right here and right here, basically all the way to the left of this orange section. So you just fold this down. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to fold this all the way up. That's what I missed. Fold this all the way up, tab those into those two tab spots, and they'll tab in really nice and tight. Then you can see there's two little tabs right here and here, and there's a tab slot on the feet, so you'll just push that forward. And there you go. So you're pretty much done with this. The other thing you can do, you have your two arms that are just hanging out. Fold these pieces over them. Straighten out the arms. Tab them together. Just like that. This top section, they are going to kind of drop in. And you kind of want to do it on an angle. It makes it a little bit easier, I found. Make sure, because they have a tendency to want to turn as you're trying to insert them. Just kind of a pain in the butt. And then sometimes they'll break apart like this. Okay. Get a better camera angle anyway. I hope I'm not the only person who's having this trouble. I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't want other people to have trouble, but I want to feel validated because I keep having a problem with this. So this drops in, and then when you get it down, you can push it back, and it all connects together. So there you go. There's the top of the Winnebago. I feel like the more I do it, the easier it'll get. Alright, so now we bring in our hot rod. And this tab right here is for this tab right here. So tab that in. There we go. At this point, you have to pull these pieces forward like you were going to transform it back into robot mode, otherwise it won't fit. You're going to bring these panels forward, and they will kind of tab. Alright, I know I'm doing something wrong. This tabs in here. Oops, I'm way too off camera. Hold on. Apologies. So, you tab this in, and it should tab in pretty solidly. Okay, that's what it is. These red tabs on the back have to tab in to these spots here on the back of the knees, which is a little weird, granted. But if you line this up and tab that in, it's a little easier if you tab them in first. And then pop in this tab. A little easier. They don't stay amazingly, but they'll stay enough to get the job done. So then bring this tab around. And tab it in. Oof, why am I having such difficulty with this? Alright, I'm just going to do this off camera because it's really giving me trouble. So I just wrestled with this thing for a good little bit, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because a lot of other people I've seen play with this toy have not had the trouble that I've had, and it's kind of bumming me out because I was really enjoying this toy until I got to this phase. Alright, so there are tabs on the back of Hot Rods mode that need to peg in to the Rodimus knees down here like I showed earlier. At the same time, there is a tab on this wing up here that pegs into the roof, as we also saw. Now, while you're jamming him into the knees and keeping him pegged into that, which the knees constantly want to kick him out, you have to bring this panel around, tab it into the side of the car. Right above the wheel there is a tab that tabs into this. While you're trying to keep those together, you have to swing this down. There's a swivel right here. It was like this, and then it swings down like this. That tabs into this, and then this tabs into this as well. But I swear that when you tab in the two silver pieces, it pulls this away from the wheel because they can't push all the way in. Now, when you're done and you can finally get the stars to align and get all these panels to stay together, it's pretty solid. It's not going anywhere. And when it's a finished Winnebago, I think it looks good. I really do. I think they did a good job making it look like a space Winnebago, which is what Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime turns into. You can take the guns and you can peg them into these little peg holes on the top here. Very simply like that. So, again, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. And I hope everyone else who buys this toy and plays with it has an easier time getting the Hot Rod car to connect to the Winnebago. Because I think when you're done, it looks good. I like it. It's just, it's a dickens to get that thing connected. And again, I'm probably just doing something wrong. But I don't know. But you definitely have to push those tabs into the knees first. Because he will not get far enough for these panels to connect to the leg. If you, or to the Hot Rod car legs right above the wheel. If you don't push them all the way in, this panel will not be able to tab in. It will be too far up. And then once you can get those two in, from there it's easy to swing this down and swing this around. It's just getting the car to stay in place. Because for some reason it wants to keep those pegs, I guess it's a very tight connection. Or maybe because it's like a rounded thing and you're putting a square tab into it. I don't know. But they constantly want to kick back out and it kind of makes it frustrating. But like I said, I think this looks good once you have it in place. So ultimately, I like Rodimus, but I kind of started out the toy review with a higher opinion of the toy than I ended with, and that's not usually the way you want it to go. You want it to go the opposite way. You want it to impress you the farther you actually delve into the toy. I do like a lot of things about him. I like the Rodimus mode. I like the Hot Rod mode. I actually like both vehicle modes, even though one of them is kind of hard to get the toy into that mode. But again, it might just be me. I definitely think I've tried it a couple times since then, and it's gotten a little bit easier now that you know the trick of it. And it's just one of those things that it can be frustrating when you don't really know what you're doing, but once you get the knack of it, it becomes a lot easier. It's just a lot of tabs. It's a lot of panels and everything having to snap together in the right configuration, and if one thing pops out, it makes it frustrating. And so it's just something you have to get used to. And again, that's not ideal, but it doesn't make the toy terrible by any means. It just has some quirks to it. So out of the two, I definitely think Optimus is the better toy out of the two. Optimus is very straightforward, looks great, not difficult transformations, all the articulation is perfect. This one is a fun toy, and I think it looks good. Obviously, you have a little bit of discoloration here from the shoulder to the arm because they're different parts of, the toy. I like the head sculpts and everything. I wish the wing was a little bit bigger in the Rodimus mode. I mean, there are a couple nitpicky things with the thighs of Hot Rod being his shoulder joint. It's a little weird, but it's not terrible. I really like the Winnebago mode once I could get it into the Winnebago mode. I just had trouble getting all those panels and everything to line up, but like I said, it gets easier the more you do it. Ultimately, I know they're going to repaint this as that Unicronus weird. I don't know what that's from. I think it might be from the comics. I would say if you're really excited for that, then maybe skip Rodimus. In my mind, I would only buy one of the mold. I don't think it's a mold that's amazing enough to buy two. Like if they were going to repaint the Optimus as like a Black Convoy or something, Nemesis Prime, whatever they like to call him, I would consider that more than I would consider a repaint of Rodimus. And that's just because I think that's a better toy. I would I knew personally I was never going to buy that Unicronus one just because I don't know what that's from and it doesn't appeal to me, and Rodimus is, like I said, a kind of a favorite character of mine, so I always knew I was going to get this one. And I still like the toy a lot, but if you were planning on buying the other one, absolutely, then I might pass on this. Like, I would only have one of the mold is basically what I'm trying to get at. But for me, that one of the mold is Rodimus. If the Unicronus is that one of the mold for you, then maybe wait for that. This toy is not perfect, but I still think there's a lot of fun to be had here. But if you're on a budget and you can only get one, I would definitely go with Optimus. He is the better toy, hands down. But there's still fun to be had with this guy. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you guys think about this? Have you had any exposure to this? Do you agree with me? Do you like this guy? Let me know what you think. Please like and share the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at Leader Class Evolution Rodimus Prime from Transformers Power of the Primes. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.